All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody out there. I want to welcome you to another Coaches Conversation Cafe. I'm here with Adam Valencia, who is the CEO of Reconnecting Youth Incorporated, and also with K-Rod, Keith Rodriguez, who both of these are former players of mine. I'm Coach Buckley, and we're very excited today. We're trying this month to kind of highlight some local businesses in town, and especially it's nice they're athletes, local athletes that are now doing some big things. And we have Aaron Singh, our special guest, with us today. Aaron is co-owner and head trainer at Rise Fitness and Performance, and I know a little bit about because this dude is my trainer. In fact, he wore me out this morning. So it's fun having him on. And anyway, we want to talk to Aaron a little bit. Aaron is a local athlete. He was a 2011 grad from El Diamante High School. He was a running back for the football team and a center fielder for the baseball team. He was the MVP in both of those sports for them, and also was the athlete of the year at El Diamante. You know, that's way back when they started almost. They started, I think, 2005, didn't they?
Yeah, pretty close to it.
Yeah. So we won't give them a bad time because we're all ex-Blazers. But and these guys, coach, they were
oh man,
pioneers coaching. So you know,
yeah.
it's kind of
little diversity on here as well. So
little
that's
diversity.
Good.
But Aaron, we appreciate you coming on today. And I'd like you to start out just giving a little bit of your background and how you got involved with athletic training and starting a business.
Yeah, well, it really started, freshman year, right? You get into the weight room for the first time, and just from the sport standpoint of things, like the weight room is so important and integral in just having success on the field, where that was where I lived. Like, it was the field, it was the weight room, weight room. And then in high school, I wasn't the biggest of guys. I was about 5'9", 170 pounds or so. And I wanted to continue to play. So I went and played at COS for a couple of years. But the moment you step on that field, even going from high school to JUCO, you knew right away, like, hey, I need to put on some more size. I need to get a little faster, a little bit stronger. So it just continued from there, right? In the weight room, put in the work, put in the time. And it really grew into not just like train for sport. It was like, I actually enjoy doing this. You know, I actually enjoy putting time into the weight room, and actually it's just, there's something about it. You know, you're building yourself, you're getting stronger mentally, physically, and just developing yourself as an individual as well. So after that, you know, football ended, there's life after sports, and I just continued to stay in it and enjoyed training. So I went to school for business, and I was a business management major with a minor in entrepreneurship. And along that way at Fresno State, I kind of put two and two together of, man, you know, I can really turn into a business training as well. You know, there were some guys doing it in town, and that was where I kind of figured it out. Like, this is what I want to end up doing down the road. And I was thankful enough to be in a position to manage a facility in town, and then be able to kind of jump out on my own and intertwine the two, and never looked back since.
Yeah, your business seems to be doing real well. Hey, what's been one of the most challenging things for you in running a business, your own business?
Yeah, well, the big thing, especially right now with everything going on, I did not think I'd be navigating through a pandemic in the
Right.
business, but I would say that's been the most challenging thing overall. Just something coming up like that it's just so unexpected. You know, they tell you, like, in business, expect the unexpected, but you never have this in mind of what's going to happen. There are things that you kind of picture, like, oh, I could picture this happening, but this is something kind of out of the world, once in a generation thing, where there's not a blueprint or like a road that's already been traveled to kind of base all of your decisions off of. It's kind of like your trial and error as you go. And you go with your gut, you go with what you think what's going to work. And in our world, just with dealing with a clientele, what's going to make the clientele happy and what makes sense on the business side of things too. You know, what makes the coaches happy, and you're constantly playing the game of trying to level out like the teeter totter. But Yeah, that's been the most challenging for sure is trying to figure out ways. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's survival, right? It's livelihood. So it's trying to make sure that that still goes. But while also right now, just, you're staying safe and you're doing the thing that's necessary.
And you guys, through this pandemic, have stayed open pretty much the whole time. You've had a few weeks off, but for the most part, you've hung in there and been able to keep going.
Yeah, and I mean, that was kind of a decision too. It was like, hey, can we do some things that are going to keep the members safe, and while we can still operate, even if it's at a different structure. I mean, you saw how that kind of changed when we did it, just different layout in the gym, how we're going to train a little bit differently, and we've made it work, and it's been good.
Yeah, you've made it work, and it's been really good. What's the most gratifying thing about your job?
I would say, and it sounds cliche, but whenever we deal with a wide spectrum of people, we deal with like the athletes, we deal with the individuals who have never stepped foot in a training facility before in their life. But it's really like seeing, and this is for all individuals, seeing someone accomplish something that they never would imagine doing. Whether it be getting out of bed in the morning and now they no longer experience pain, or it could be doing something for the first time, right? So there's always those things. That's awesome. And it's just like we're helping guide them, but we're alongside of them. Like the great thing about it is seeing them do it. They put the work in, they put the time in. We'll never take credit for it. We just love seeing that and being alongside the journey the whole way.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of clients really get excited, and I know you guys do some special things and have member of the month and different things like that. Little competitions here and there. So and even I saw before where we had a client that was dealing with cancer and rallying and doing some things to help fundraise for that. Yeah, I think that's really cool how you're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, Aaron, we certainly appreciate you being on with us. It's always nice to have somebody locally, especially an athlete that excelled at a very high level when you were in high school. Again, I recall watching you play, and you were a pretty outstanding running back. So it's always great to have you on board. Thinking about, obviously we're utilizing a virtual platform right now today. Are you offering any types of classes virtually where individuals that are somewhat afraid to get out of their home, but maybe could kind of dial in or tune in to some of the workouts that you might be providing?
Yeah. So we actually, in the very, very beginning, we shut down for like 5.5 weeks. And during that, we were doing Zoom classes and everything. And then we made the transition back into facility.
Oh, okay.
Still holding Zoom class, I guess you could say. So basically, every time that we have, as far as in-person sessions go, we still have Zoom going. And we always have it's not a different type of workout, but it's just modified for someone at home who has these things. We know who has what as far as clientele at home and what equipment they have, things that they need if we ever need to get them stuff. So just using that, making sure that they can still get what they need, and us providing the service that we can. So yeah, it's kind of a hybrid model, right, where we're coaching in person, but we also have someone on a Zoom too. So being able to kind of put those pieces together, yeah, that's been not a challenging thing, but it's made us better coaches for sure. It's just being able to handle all types of things at the same time.
Yeah, well, that's great. Really appreciate that. That's good information.
Yeah, and what kind of things are you able to do for, like, I know you have some high school athletes in there periodically. Tell us about some of the things you do to help train the athletes.
Yeah, right now I mean, when they didn't go back to school and they're doing all the online school stuff, the distance learning, we decided to put just a high school group together and make sure that they could still come in and train, because sports were on a halt, everything was on a halt. But our clientele know, and most of the kids in there their parents come to us. They know, like, you're still need to train for sport. Just because you might not be playing your sport today or this year, you still can get better at it. You can still be utilizing the time. And the kids who are utilizing it now, it's going to be interesting to see how well they do once sports come back in, because just the the strength they've gained, the movement awareness that they've gained, like those things play a huge role when it comes back to the field or whatever sport that they're playing. And that has been a huge thing that we've been trying to deliver to people is like, hey, we know sports aren't happening. That's okay. You know, you might not be playing baseball this year. You might not be playing football this year, but for the kids who are underclassmen, you know, the sophomores, the juniors, and the freshmen, it's like you could still be preparing for next year. You know, that you're going to still have those years. So we put a high school group together, and we really just stick to like the high school athlete population, just because the way we train, it's a little bit more dialed in. It's very performance based, where there's just such a learning curve to it that it's got to be able to get like, hey, I learned this, and then we go. You know, we find it a little bit more difficult for the younger kids. So yeah, the high school athlete population for us though has been good, and they get after it, man. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to see how they do. A lot of them are great athletes already. Now it's just taking them to another level.
And then you're also, I noticed you do it specifically probably more in the summer, but you have some camps, some little things that are specifically made for athletes.
Correct. Yeah, we'll do some speed and agility stuff. And when it comes to like the high school or even like the younger athlete population, you know, you can do the speed and agility things. Like those things aren't going to hurt you, but our big focus for kids too is just a strength standpoint. You know, the foundation for an athlete, if they don't have the strength to do certain things, then power output's not there. You can be as fast and as agile as you want, you know, but the strength side of things is the big thing that we see with athletes that they lack. So being able to bring that up for them, it's exponential growth. So we try to do some strength camps. We do some speed and agility stuff, but the main focus is strength things. And it also helps them too. Like when they get in the weight room in high school weight rooms and everything, they know how to move, they know form, they know movement. If you can't move well, it's hard for someone to be a great athlete. You know, you look at most athletes, they're great movers. You know, you look at someone who's a good athlete, they might not be a great mover, but we want to make sure that we can get them to that next level.
Great. Hey, Keith Rodriguez here, Aaron. Again, thanks for joining us, bud. You know, back up 100 years ago in the old gladiator days, we would hit the iron, you know, for in college and high school, and you know, the old no pain, no gain, no guts, no glory type stuff. What's some of the cutting edge, newer types techniques or lifts that you guys are doing, especially like you mentioned strength that you guys are doing today that kind of, you know, maybe we got away from, and rightly so now?
Yeah, well, I mean, even when I was in high school, right, it was like, as far as like training for football, you're doing Olympic lifting, you're doing all the big barbell lifts, you know, the squat, the deadlift, the bench press and stuff like that, where now like there's just so much literature out there that it doesn't go against it, but there's just better ways to do it. There's safer ways to do it. There's more efficient ways to do it. And even now with technology, like the amount of data you can gain from just a training session with seeing like speed output, power output, how strong is this kid? How much can they move this weight? How fast can they move it? That right there goes a long way. And then just the equipment too, like all of the, it's not even like variations of pieces of equipment, but there's so many things that are dialed in for athletic training now that can really translate to field stuff, you know, or like power, speed. These things are, it's such a competitive advantage. It's like, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and it's always the conversation of like, who's better, Jordan or LeBron? And it's like, you can't really compare the two because they're in different eras. They have different technology. They have different resources to go to. I would say the biggest thing with stuff now are recovery techniques. Just the amount of tools that they have. I mean, you see it all over the place. Normatec boots, all the cryotherapy stuff, you know, so you take an athlete 30 years ago who never had access to that, and if you gave that to them, I mean, how great would Jordan be if he had that stuff, right? So that's the biggest thing, you know, training principles, they kind of stay the same as it goes. Like there's not anything that's like cutting edge training principle wise, but recovery tool wise, it's very, very cool to see what they have nowadays. And I mean, puts kids leaps and bounds above what guys were doing 20, 30 years ago for sure.
And what about equipment wise? Has there been new equipment out there that they're using more and more now of, or technology?
Yeah, you see a lot more resistance things, where it's variable resistance, where you have like constant tension on the muscle. You know, like I said, back in the day, it was barbell stuff, right? And barbell stuff is great and everything, but you lose some strength on the strength curve. There's different parts of the lift or the exercise that are easier than the other, where nowadays there's so many tools where you can like constantly be changing the stimulus on the muscle. So as far as progression goes, like your progression can be a lot faster and a lot quicker, where back in the day it might take longer to get stronger. Now it's like you can shoot through the roof pretty quickly. The principles are still the same, but the tools that you have are they help you a lot. I'll tell you what.
So is that like when you use the bands with the kettlebells and stuff like that?
Yeah, you're doing banded stuff. You're doing some cable resistant stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of things that they can make certain parts of a lift harder or easier depending on the athlete and what they need for sport. So like from a sport specific standpoint, and I mean, we don't do a ton of sport specific stuff because just the population we need, like I said, if we can make a better athlete, they're going to be a better player in whatever sport they are. Now, when you start getting into like the collegiate and the professional level, you see the stuff that these guys are using. It helps them develop faster, and it also in a safer manner too. Like there's less risk, there's more reward, and that's what we're always looking for: is how can we get the most reward out of things without trying to injure a kid. I mean, we have Holden Powell comes in with us. You know, he's in the Washington Nationals program, just got drafted by them last year, where it's like, dude, we don't need to go crazy. We don't need to be doing all these things, but what are some things that we can do that are going to help transfer to you on the mound? You know, like how can we get you throwing 96, 97 with a healthier shoulder?
A healthy arm, yeah.
Like that.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to coach Holden when I was at Mount Whitney, and just a outstanding young man. I mean, just a great kid. I shouldn't say he's a kid, he's a young man now, but just amazing athlete. And so it's great to hear that you're working with him for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's doing well, I hear.
Yeah.
Aaron, is there a certain time of day that you maybe think that might be a better time to work out? Maybe early morning? We used to have we used to go round and round with coaches and fellow athletes, like, oh no, I like the morning. No, I like, in the evening. No, I like midday stuff. What do you think?
At that point, it really comes down to personal preference. But like, if you look from an energy standpoint, like if you're at the end of your day, you've already spent more energy just going throughout your daily things. You know, you have more taxation on the body, where in the morning you're fresh, you're awake, you can do whatever you do, and then you can get in there. You know, you get in there right away. I'm a morning guy. I know a lot of athletes are morning guys. It also just helps kind of set the tone for your day. But if you're really like, there's not a huge gap, or I would say a huge advantage of working out at certain times of the day. It really just comes down to like what times you like working out, because really that's gonna turn into, you can focus more, you can put more effort into it. If you're a night guy, I know some guys who train at 10 o'clock at night, and they work just as hard as guys who work out at 6 a.m. So yeah, it's personal preference for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of coaches battle over that. They try to get their athletes to go pre-first because they have more time to work with them than they do a regular class.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some, and I've taught that before, and I just know there's some kids that come in, they're just dragging. They stay up late and they don't like lifting in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like you said, it sets a tone. It's a good habit to get into.
No, it definitely is. And especially like with the younger athlete population, you do battle that, right? Like how serious is the kid going to take it, or the individual going to take it? Are they going to go to bed early? Are they going to make sure they're recovering properly or having the proper nutrition? Where if you get into like the collegiate and pro level, they have just so much more resources to be able to know, hey, okay, I might have my own nutritionist, right? Or like I have my own supplements that I know I need to take, or their coach is working with them on all of those facets, where they know they can come in and be at peak performance at 6 a.m. Where in high school, you might have the kid who stayed up till midnight.
Doing his classes, yeah.
Exactly. And coming in, dragging butt, might not be fully recovered. And then like your chance of injury goes up. So there is trade-off for sure. I mean, I always think if you can instill an early morning regimen for the athlete population, it can go a little bit longer of a way and give you more benefit. But it comes down to the athlete and then the intention in the athlete too. Like, are they going to be intentional with these things, or are they going to be careless? And at that point, then what trade-off are you getting here?
Right. Hey, Aaron, I want to ask you this one question. As a former athlete, do you feel like you've taken some of the things that you've learned as an athlete that has helped you in running a business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as far as like coming up through the program at El Diamante, I mean, with Mark Rogers, that was instilled in us pretty early, and I think
he's a great one.
Yeah. From an athletic standpoint or from an athlete standpoint, like the things you learn, not just on the field, but off the field too. I mean, our biggest thing, or his biggest thing, was I don't care how good of a player you are, like how good of a human are you, and in the fitness world or in our training world, X's and O's are great, but with how we do things, relationships are the biggest thing,
Yep.
Someone told me like, it doesn't matter, it's not important the project, it's important about the relationship. And if you really, really take that into account, like from an athlete standpoint, are you a team guy or are you an I guy? If you're putting team first, then you understand how to work on a team. And I think that was probably the biggest thing that I've learned, because in high school, and if you're on the higher end of things and just being how we were very successful as a team. Right. And then you have guys who are very successful as individuals as well. At that age, it's very easy to get into like the ego and all that kind of stuff, where it helped having a coach kind of level you off and tell you, like, no, down the road in life, it's not just about you, and no matter what, if you're a part of a 500 person corporation, or if you're part of a small business with 10 people, you're still part of a team and you still have a role to play. And if you think it's all about you, then you're going to start getting in trouble. So I think that would probably be the biggest thing. Is I always look at it like, yeah, I might be the owner of the thing, but at the end of the day, I have people to take care of, and I'll always put them first before me. It's kind of like the last to eat mentality. They'll be the first to eat, I'll be the last to eat. And I think if more athletes can grasp that, then more teams are better off.
I totally agree. I think that's a great point. And it's the same with, coaches. The coaches that have great teams are the ones that build great relationships.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to compliment you guys at Rise. I think that's one thing that attracted me is, obviously I go there. It's fun because I have a lot of ex-players there, a lot of ex-students there. So I know a lot of people, but you guys build relationships. You guys have a great staff and you build relationships. And I think that's real important. Keeps people wanting to come there. Yeah.
Yep.
So what are your hours? Are you like Monday through Sunday or 7 days a week? What do you got?
Yeah, we're Monday through Saturday.
Saturday, okay.
Through Thursday, we're open from 5 a.m. to about 7:45. Fridays we go half days, so we're there from about 5 to 11, and then Saturdays we just do morning stuff on Saturdays.
Okay, so if someone wants to sign up for a class or start working out with you, how do they do that?
They can hit us on our website. We have a website. It's www.rises1.us, or they can always call the gym phone. They can shoot us emails. All of that stuff is on the website though. So as far as like info, they can fill out a form right there. It'll shoot us an email and then we get in contact with them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good. Hey, Aaron, real quick, we got, if someone has 10, 15 minutes to get a quick workout in, give me your 3 or 4 best lifts or exercises for strength.
Do they have equipment or do they not?
No, let's say some dumbbells and maybe a band.
Okay. Well, yeah, for us, I mean, we look at it from a movement pattern standpoint. So you can never go wrong with squatting, lunging, and then upper body push and pulling. Just most people need to pull more than they push. So I would say number 1 being a dumbbell row. Yeah. Number 2 being some type of squat. It could be a goblet squat. It could be something single leg, and then something lunging. Single leg is always going to trump bilateral movement. So we do a lot of lunging at Rise, and you can lunge with anything, right? With a dumbbell, with an object, it could be whatever. Lunging from a reverse lunging standpoint, and then from a side lunging standpoint, because we don't move enough left to right. We always walk, we're forward and backward individuals. We don't move left and right where we need to do that. So that, and then also core. We do a ton of core work. I mean, as far as foundation goes, it's core. So I would say if you're going to stick to anything, it's going to be those 4 things: core, upper body pulling, lunging, and squatting.
Yep.
Awesome. I'm on it. Thanks.
Were you asking for yourself or for a friend?
Well, I got the core covered. I got the core covered. I was just asking for Coach
And
Buckley.
Aaron, don't, and Aaron, don't forget to tell him it's about what you eat, Keith, not just
Oh,
the lifting.
son of a gun. There's nutrition involved?
That's
How big,
right.
hey, Aaron, how big is nutrition with all this stuff?
You can never out-train a bad diet. So it's always going to play a vital role, and it's going to be more important than the training side of things. I mean, you got to train, but nutrition from a health and wellness standpoint, you're not going to go far without it. That's for sure.
Oh,
Well, I don't want to hear what you ate for the Super Bowl party, okay? Because I know it ain't good.
Well, thanks, Aaron. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great
Well, Aaron,
information.
we appreciate you coming on with us today. And hey, any of you listeners out there, and I can validate this, but if you're looking for a great gym with great people, check out Rise Fitness and Performance. They're on the corner of Shirk and Pershing. And I want to give a shout out to your trainers because they're outstanding. Also working out, and their trainers, Jody Williamson, great gal. She's Kyle McAllister and Tristan Stidman. Okay, the outstanding job, great people there, and it's a fun place to be. So if you're interested, get a hold of rise1.com. You can look on that website or call 804-3240. I hope that's the right number.
It is.
Thank you guys for listening. And remember, a good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life. John Wooden. Hey, everybody have a great weekend. And we hope to see you back, or a great week. It's only Tuesday. And we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday again. We're going to highlight another business. We're going to highlight my nephew, Matt Ainley, and the Darling Hotel. So hope to see you back on there. So until then, have a great afternoon.
All right. Thanks again, Aaron.
Oh, thank you guys. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, hey, I know you're a busy guy, but